No, thank you very much, honorable members. Good afternoon. You can sit. You may be seated. Sorry. Yeah, you may be. I almost wanted to say, as I was saying, because I was here. No, thank you very much, honorable members. Before the secretary read the next item on the agenda, I just for honorable members, can you take your seat, please? I'm taking advantage of the fact that the speaker yesterday just gave us a little bit of a reminder in terms of what is expected out of us as members. And I thought I must also do the same with respect of today. Honorable members, we are joined by thousands of people who are listening or viewing our work through the social media. They are connected to that because they take the business of the legislature very, very seriously. And they understand very well that they have taken time to ensure that they queue on the election day for us to be here. I'm raising this because part of connecting with the public, it's educational. The public must know what we're doing here. Now, honorable members, we are here debating the reports of committees. We are confusing the public when we come here and say we reject the budget. These are the reports of portfolio committees. So you support or you reject a report of a portfolio committee. We are not yet at the voting stage of the budget, vote 1 or vote 2. I'm just saying it for the members of the public who are connected. And my assumption is that almost all members who are here debating their reports were part of those meetings of portfolio committees. So that when tomorrow we go into that process of passing votes and of the budget, then members of the public then understand what are we doing then tomorrow. I felt, just for the members of the public, Tina, we might know what we are doing, but members of the public, just for them to understand in terms of what we are doing today. When we say we adopt the report of the portfolio committee. Thank you very much. Secretary, may I ask you to read the next order of the day? Thank you very much.
Consideration of vote number 9, Economic Development, Environmental Affairs and Tourism, Appropriation Bill 2024.
Thanks very much. Honorable Hune, the chairperson. The chairperson of the Economic Development Portfolio Committee, your 10 minutes. Honorable members, let's not drown the speaker. The 10 minutes starts now. Thank you very much.
Honorable Chair of Chairs, Honorable Premier, the Executive, Chief Whip, the entire House. The diet for this financial year is an increase of about 8.9%. That equates to 2.1 billion, and that is due to the funds that are allocated for projects and public entities. We'll rush through the recommendation because of the time. Firstly, it's just the DTAT group has about equitable share of 1% of the entire provincial fiscus, and therefore their engagement with provincial treasury for budget allocation to be incongruent with the objectives of stimulating and coordinating economic growth in the province becomes imperative. Two is on the infrastructure to tourism destinations that frustrates the economy, both protected areas and the tourism destination, and as such, through IGR, DTM, and engagement with local municipalities, a forum must be found force to coordinate such interventions and resolve infrastructure to these tourism and protected areas. The transition of the Wild Coast Industrial Park into a special economic zone has been slow, and as such, the department must work to finalize that transition of Wild Coast Industrial Park into a fully fledged SEZ, because it's losing a lot of allocation that it would receive for it to take off. And also that the department working with the Treasury must finalize the measure or anticipated measure of liquor board and gambling board. Quickly on entities, Chair, on the gambling board. And the gambling board has achieved about 75% or 635 million of its target, and that is short from the 850 set itself to collect, and therefore it must work to urgently resolve that matter and explore alternative revenue generations. For it to conduct a study on revenue generation and reviews research strategy agenda in order to determine emerging markets that can be explored and for its financial viability and maximizing revenue collection. And further that, noting that online gambling in South Africa is not regulated, and such deprives the gambling board additional revenue, and therefore there must be a lobby of national government to update legal prescripts that regulate online gambling and conduct research and collaborate with bookmakers for new digital platforms to generate revenue. ECDC, in 2023, Auditor General expressed a reservation on the ability of the entity to continue as a going concern, and also the underperforming property portfolio of the entity, and as such a sound plan that they've developed, and if resourced, that plan can, in the medium to long term, ensure its liquidity and profitability, the entity, and as such, in the immediate, it has to be supported to overcome that challenge. Secondly, that the committee supports the entity strategy to dispose of non-core property assets and non-performing residential properties, and to intensify its infrastructure management portfolio, to improve and leverage through market opportunities on management and consultation fees, to address its depleting cash flow, operational cost, and negative cash flow that the entity is enduring. And also that the finalization of matters before courts that the entity has taken to court is very slow, and as such the department working with the entity must engage Department of Justice to establish specialized courts to process cases such as illegal property invasion. We think that will go a long way to expedite the matters of that are before court, because the entity is bleeding a lot of income as a result of that. Equally, the process of revitalization of industrial parks, that is Fort Jackson, Butterworth, Queenstown, Dimbaza, has to be robust, and the entity must submit a plan on the progress to report on how it intends to revitalize all these industrial parks. East London ITZ. ITZ has been seeing a lot of or high vacancy rate into above the tolerable levels. And this is due to liquidation of Iekani and the high turnover, particularly of black industrialists. And therefore, the entity has lowered its vacancy rate target for the current financial year. In this regard, the ITZ must be deliberate on efforts to support black industrialists and conduct a study on how to modify and leverage their business model to markets outside of the SEZ, with the objective of expanding their horizon and revenue options. Two, as a result of the above, the ITZ has struggled to achieve level 1 triple BEE since the beginning of this financial year cycle, and that is projected that they will not able to attain that in the current financial year. Therefore, the management of the ITZ must devise a practical plan to ensure that we do achieve the level 1 triple BEE. And also the realization of the special purpose vehicle for renewable project in Tabo Zugo, formerly known as Berlin, must be expedited as we're informed that currently that special purpose vehicle for renewal is stuck at the level of national government for approval. Kucha ITZ, the ITZ must urgently pursue the objective of incorporating the Nelson Mandela Bay Logistic Park into the SEZ, and that will bring about much more financial liquidity and sustainability of the entity. The corporation must as well devise a new business development that is aimed on the investor retention within the SEZ, its tenants as it were, and conduct an annual investor survey so that it remains ahead of the curve in retaining the investors that are there, and develop a strategic partnership and engage shareholder for CAPEX as it were. Additionally, Kucha must pursue in areas outside SEZ to generate a revenue path through operational expansions. Again, Premier in 2022 had indicated an investment on the aquaculture, and therefore and was projected that it will create about 5,000 jobs. In this regard, Kucha must submit an implementation plan of this aquaculture investment. Equally, the Wild Coast Management has been allocated 36 million for this financial year, and that the DET must then assist
You're left with 2 minutes, member.
To achieve adequate funding for the SEZ and finalizing the transition of this SEZ into a full industrial park, Wild Control Park, into a full SEZ. ECPTA, the issue is how we continue to manage the tourism destination and the areas that are protected, and the funding and the collaboration that must be done to enhance the capacity of green scorpions on the areas they work on. But importantly, regarding this entity, it has been not depositing its entire revenue collected. And the committee is one, that the entity must seek necessary approvals from Treasury. In the meanwhile, approvals not given must deposit the entire revenue collected to the provincial revenue fund. We just cannot permit unlawful acts. And then Liquor Board. Liquor Board is to finalize its regulation renewal so that by the anticipated time for license renewals by December, that should have been finalized, the regulations, so that its collection capacity can maximize out of that. And secondly, there is a low participation at the level of manufacturing companies in the space of liquor industry, and therefore we must enforce the transformation, enforce the National Liquor Authority Act in this regard. Also for ratio that this entity is having, that it is 1 to 356 liquor outlets in terms of inspectors, and therefore work must be done with SABS, municipal police, for them to be designated as liquor officers to assist for enforcement of these inspectors, as it were. And also the bylaws with the local municipalities that must be enforced when these outlets are opened, when are they closed, and all of that. That work must continue. And therefore, Chair, in conclusion, we present this report and recommend that it be accordingly adopted. As for the one of SASCO, they were not here. They will not know, Chair.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson of the committee. May I call upon the Democratic Alliance, Honorable Kruger, to debate the report. Your 9 minutes starts now. No, sorry. No. Can you take your seat, Honorable Kruger? Honorable Kruger, can you sit over there? My apologies. The honorable members, do we have questions to the committee? Sorry. Honorable Matigizela, Honorable Kassim, do you want it? Oh, okay. Okay. Honorable Pillay, after Honorable Matigizela.
Thanks, Chair. I just need a clarity on three things so that we can understand better the report. I just want to check which are the main sectors that contribute most on the job creation of the economy of the Eastern Cape. Secondly, can the committee confirm that the economy of the Eastern Cape is in recession and is in a decline? And what is the recovery plan? Then lastly, is in relation to the factories of Dimbaza, industrial parks of Butterworth and all of that, is there a plan in place already? Does it have time frames? And who is exactly responsible? And how much will it cost? Thank you very much.
Okay. While we are standing over Matigizana, just main sectors, do you have the report in front of you? If you do have the report in front of you, I will appreciate if you can refer to the pages, just in case the chair, in terms of the report on the recession, if the report covers the recession, and the third part, the Dimbaza. Remember, we ask questions on the report of the committee.
Yes, Chair. I do have a report with me, but now I want a specific pick on the page.
Okay. Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Honorable, you will only respond if parts, if the matters talks to the report, only on matters that talks to the report, not matters that are outside the report. That's why you have time, so that you don't have to rewrite the report that is not there. Honorable Pillay.
Honorable Chair, I think one has to appreciate this massive report, but a strategic or very important finding is being done on page 120. It is the fourth finding, which they are talking about insufficient land for emerging farmers in terms of gaming and all that. So the finding is talking about insufficient land. But you go to the recommendation is talking about mentorship, training. It is absent. There is an absence of land because the question is the land. And this is an important one because emerging people in that sector are struggling. Thank you.
Okay. No, thanks very much. Honorable Khune? Honorable Khune? Over to you.
Oh, thanks. I thought there was another question. Thanks, Chair. Just to forgive members, Chair, on the leniency, the report, I think, is voluminous. They would have not had capacity to go through it, Chair. So, just on the recession, we're not in recession. The data has been issued in this regard. So, it must just refer to a data issued by Stats SA. Province has grown, the last quarter created work. It is there. I thought Speaker gave them gadgets. Then the issue of industrial parks. Industrial parks, you will find other ECDC. There is a plan for the industrial parks in Fort Jackson, in Butterworth, in Dimbaza, and the entity responsible for that, it's ECDC. That work, it's underway. There is a plan for that. It is contained in the report. The sectors that contribute on job creation, in the main, you would know, we have an auto sector, you will have a service sector, which government contribute immensely. There's a lot of investment we're doing.
Is that part of your report?
No, we're just giving a...
No.
Oh, okay.
We don't have to. Thanks very much. Questions to the MEC? Yes, Honorable Kassim.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair of Chairs. I refer to page 110 of the report, subsection E, which speaks to non-performing properties owned by the ECDC. Honourable Chair of Chairs, as you know, this has been a recurring finding in this House. Properties owned by the ECDC that are costing more than the revenue that is being generated. I'd like to ask the MEC, has there been any concrete steps put in place, because those properties have been identified, to begin the process of disposal so that can be taken off the books of the relevant entity? Thank you, Chair of Chairs.
No, thanks very much. Honourable MEC.
Honourable Chair of Chairs, yes, ECDC have a plan to dispose the properties that they are not using, but we are also renovating the business properties, but the residential one, they are disposing them. Thank you, Honourable Chair.
Honourable Kruger, you can come in. Your 9 minutes starts now. My apologies again. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Chair of Chair. You are forgiven. Honourable Premier, Honourable Members. Honourable Chair of Chairs, the Premier highlighted several key priorities for growing the economy in our provincial opening of the provincial legislature. The major focus of the Honourable Premier's speech was on the role that the Department of Economic Development, Environmental Affairs and Tourism will play to meet our growth targets as a province. The latest quarterly labour force statistics reveal that the Eastern Cape's expanded unemployment rate has risen from 49.1% to 49.7%. The worst affected are those in non-metro areas, where the extended unemployment rate stands at a staggering 57.7%. I have heard an honourable member today say that the Eastern Cape being in a technical recession is a blue lie. And I would like to advise the honourable member to speak to the Eastern Cape Socio-Economic Consultative Council, who in fact released a report about this recession. The honourable member has embarrassed himself by making such callous statements. The Eastern Cape economic growth outlook is forecast to be between 1.5 and 1.7%. Brought on by expected easing of power cuts, new energy projects coming online, and a positive forecast by the Reserve Bank Governor on potentially lower inflation rates. This poses an opportunity for the Eastern Cape to turn the tide on what our Honourable Premier has stated, and I quote, unemployment, the #1 enemy of the people of the Eastern Cape. It is encouraging to note that the provincial government has embraced one of the DA's long-standing calls to diversify our energy production mix, which has seen 3 massive wind farm projects enter their full construction phase. These wind farms will add a total of 293 megawatts of power to our grid in 2024 and 2025, moving our total installed wind and solar farm capacity to 1,802 megawatts. We look forward to and will continue to monitor the progress being made in establishing and coordinating the construction of 3 additional wind farms with an estimated value of 13.7 billion. We must, however, ensure that our legislative and policy framework does not hamper further planned projects, especially on the eastern side of our province. Speaker, die 7de administrasie bied ons 'n gulde geleentheid om nie net met die privaat sektor saam te werk nie, maar ook met ander provinsies, soos blyk uit die onlangse memorandum van verstandhouding oor groen waterstof wat deur die Oos-Kaap, die Noord-Kaap en die Wes-Kaap onderteken is. Chair, the provincial budget deficit of 2.5 billion rand, which will be funded through reserves, is not a sustainable solution as we enter into the 7th term. The provincial government must prioritise economic development to balance the books and promote revenue-generating industries. Unfortunately, with a dismal 1% of the provincial fiscus allocated towards DEET, the task of stimulating the economy in a meaningful way is hampered severely. At the 6th Eastern Cape Export Symposium, the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Honourable Andrew Whitfield, described the Eastern Cape as well-positioned and a well-positioned gateway for expanding export markets due to its 3 ports providing the province with a unique competitive advantage, noting that the province is the country's 2nd largest citrus exporting province, contributing 25% of the province's GDP. However, to fully take advantage of our exports, we must leverage more efficiently our provincial industrial assets, such as Butterworth, Dimbaza, and the Fort Jackson industrial parks. Furthermore, Kucha and our East London SEZ must be used to ensure that our demand meets supply. Chair, as we commemorate Tourism Month, I'd like to acknowledge the hard-working men and women who serve in the tourism industry of our province, from game rangers, tour guides, and the hospitality hosts. The Premier has identified tourism as one of our 7 growth frontiers, which is commendable. However, with the sector taking a 17% budget cut, we need not only talk the talk, but we must also walk the walk. The ripple effect of such budget cuts is evident. For example, in our efforts to protect biodiversity and to promote conservation, the Eastern Cape allocates only 200 million rand, compared to KwaZulu-Natal, which allocates a staggering 1 billion rand. Die gebrek aan beskerming van ons natuurreservate, parke en toeriste aantreklikhede het daartoe gelei dat potensiale toeriste hul geld in ander provinsies bestee het, wat daartoe gelei het dat al ons natuurreservate hulle finansiële boekjaar in die rooi gesluit het. With operational expenditure of some of our tourist attractions surpassing up to 80% just for the electricity expenditure, the Eastern Cape Parks and Tourism Agency needs to formulate a strategy to ensure the turnaround of dilapidated and dysfunctional facilities. Chair, there are many potential jobs in the environmental sector. Last month, I engaged with a world-renowned environmentalist. 2 key takeaways from our engagement were, first, the need to explore co-management of our protected areas, and secondly, addressing our infrastructure backlog, which has the potential to unlock economic opportunities within our parks, our nature reserves, and our tourism industry. The department must, through its Parks and Tourism Agency, engage municipalities, provincial stakeholders such as the Department of Roads and Transport, Public Works, and other non-governmental role players to prioritize roads and infrastructure to our protected areas and our tourism destinations to unlock the full revenue potential of these destinations and the sector as a whole. The department must, through intergovernmental relations with local government, urgently explore interventions that will address these infrastructure challenges of the tourism industry and the enforcement of law. A plan must be developed that will demonstrate a mutual cost benefit to all stakeholders, showing that when we invest in infrastructure, it is beneficial to schools, to clinics and hospitals, to tourism, and to local economic development. Chair, projects such as Working for Water and Working on Fire have succeeded in the province as they fight against invasive alien plant species.
2 minutes left, Honourable Member.
Waste to wealth projects such as the buyback centres dotted across the province have provided a vital economic lifeline to hundreds of informal waste collectors, providing them with a stable and reliable source of income whilst tackling our dumping crises. Chair, our continued knee-jerk reaction to non-compliance of liquor traders such as the Enyobeni tragedy has the potential to spread like wildfire across the province. Over the years, we have seen the rise of illegal liquor traders and a lack of compliance within the sector. Honourable MEC, as the department finalises its new regulations, we implore you to ensure their reasonability, rationality and enforceability. To place onerous responsibilities on ward councillors and ward committees is not the solution. Fundamental economic change is needed to unleash the potential of our province, bring in investment and create jobs. The Western Cape Premier has expanded the Western Cape's red tape reduction unit to all municipalities, has focused on the issues preventing small businesses and entrepreneurs from getting their enterprises off the ground. They have addressed technical issues that constrain growth, such as visa regimes, port fees, licensing requirements, and slow planning processes in local government. In the last 5 years, this unit's work has resulted in a 2.4 billion rand saving for the economy. We have the responsibility to follow the example set by our neighbours. In the face of joblessness that continues to rob our people of their potential and dignity, our pride and our political differences must be set aside. The Democratic Alliance will continue its efforts to provide practical solutions to move our province from being a province of despair to a province of opportunity. The Democratic Alliance will support the vote. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kruger. Honorable Mjoli. Your 5 minutes starts now.
Thank you, Chair of Chairs. Greetings to the EFF caucus led by Honorable Madikizel. Honorable members, guests, economic freedom fighters reject the budget vote for the Department of Economic Development, Environmental Affairs and Tourism. Year after year, this department has failed the Eastern Cape. The region holds the potential to be a breadbasket for the entire country. Yet this